Hi, this is PR Frank, and today we're going to learn how to do green screen keying in Adobe Premiere Pro. So if you've never launched the software before, you may not get this screen, but in any case, let's click on a new project. An important part is where your project is being stored. I'm just going to call this project green screen, and I'm going to click on Browse because I definitely don't want to put it where it wants me to put it. For this example, I'm just going to put it on the desktop in a new folder called green screen, my last name, my first name. It's a good name for that folder. And choose it. Then I'm going to say OK. If you are just starting Premiere, you might be in this learning mode, but make sure you're in the editing tab up here at the top. There's different panels to organize your workspaces, but editing is the most common. And there are 4 areas. There is the source panel up here, the program panel, which shows you what's in the timeline or the sequence, and this is the sequence. And then there's lots of other panels here. Mostly you'll be using the project bin and the effects panel. Okay, so before I import any footage, I want to make sure it's in the same folder as my project. So I'm going to go to the Finder, I'm going to go to the desktop where I put it, and these 2 files are the files that I'm going to use for the example today. I want to drag them inside of the folder for my project so that everything's in the same place, and that's a really important part. That's before you import them. You can import them by dragging them to the project bin, or you can import them by going to File, Import, and looking for them. You can select more than one with Command or Shift and import. Then they'll show up in the project panel. There they are. Now, it is logical to just go ahead and drag your footage into the timeline area, but you do not want to do that if you have shot your video in 4K, because there's a really big advantage to shooting in 4K and then editing on a 1080p timeline. So let me show you how to do that. What we need to do is we need to create a new sequence by going to File, New, Sequence. And then there's all these choices. If you go into AVCHD and you go into the folder that says 1080p, there is a preset called AVCHD 1080p 30. This is the one that you want to edit with. This is going to create a 1080p timeline, which is 1920 by 1080, it's standard HD size, with 30 frames per second. That's standard for digital video. So if you select that preset and then name your sequence, by the way, when you name your sequence, it's going to be the name it exports as. So in this case, I want it to export as green screen, last name, first name. That'd be a nice name for my file as well. And I'll say OK. So now I have a 1080p timeline, and I'm going to drag one of my clips in there. So let me double click a clip. When you double click a clip, it shows up in your source panel, and it allows you to scrub through your clip. All right, you can hear, you can see what you've got. And I just want to get one part of this clip. This is a project that a couple of my students did recently where they're pretending to be in the 80s in an arcade, but they didn't want to shoot in an arcade, so we did it on a green screen. We shot footage of an arcade later. So let's see where this starts. I'm going to go ahead and play it. And these 2 buttons, the in point and the out point, are important for marking your clip.
All right. I can't believe you beat me at Donkey Kong.
So right there, right before she says, I can't believe you beat me at Donkey Kong, that's where I need to click my end point. So
I can't believe you beat me at Donkey Kong.
You can't even be mad about that. You weren't trying.
I didn't even know what was going on. Why was the monkey throwing barrels at me?
So he can keep Peach to himself.
Well, he needs to get an attitude check because that wasn't very nice of him.
Oh, come.
Okay, so now I clicked my out point. So now I have a little segment which is 13 seconds long that I can use for this test. If I just want to drag the video, I can drag this. If I just want to drag the audio, I can drag this, but dragging the whole thing is good. So I'm going to drag the whole clip. And typically you would want to put it on video 1, but since this is green screen, we want to put it on video 2 because our content that's going to fill the background is going to be on video 1. Now, you'll get this message if you take a 4K clip and drop it into a 1080 timeline. You'll get this message. Doesn't match. That's okay. Keep existing settings. And you'll notice the clip is very zoomed in. That's because in 4K footage is twice the size of 1080p. So what we're going to do first is we're going to click our clip. We're going to go to Effect Controls in the top next to Source. And we're going to use, we'll scroll down our motion properties, and there's a scale property. You can either drag on the scale here, or you can open scale and drag a slider. And if we drag it to exactly 50 or type in 50, then that sets it to where it was before, as you can see. Now, since we're missing a little bit of the screen here, you see it's cut off there, we may want to zoom in a little bit like that. But I'm going to leave it out at 50 because that'll let me show you another technique later. All right, so we got our clip and it's zoomed out to 50 so it fits. Now it's time to add our green screen key. Down here near the project bin, there's an effects panel that has all the effects. And if we just type in key, that's the name for the effect where we key out or find a color key to take pixels out, then we see all these different kinds of keys. And the best one to use that Adobe Premiere has is this thing called Ultra Key. Now you can either take this effect and drag it up into the Effect Controls window, or you can drag it right onto your clip. I'm going to drag it into the window. Now the key is going to let you use an eyedropper right here, and this may come up. If that happens, you just need to open your system preferences. You probably need to get an administrator password for this because you got to unlock everything. And I just need to allow Adobe Premiere to record the screen. When that happens, it's going to make you quit the software, but don't worry. You can say yes, save, and just relaunch your software. Okay, so now we're back and running. So now with this clip selected, I can see all of my effects. Once again, I'll click on the eyedropper and click on the green. Now you don't want to click on something that's too bright or something that's too dark, something in the mid ranges. And automatically you can see it got rid of that background. A really easy way to see if you've really gotten rid of your background is to put another color or an image or a video back there. So in this case, I think what we'll do is we'll go to our project bin and we'll put our arcade footage behind there. So I'll drag my arcade footage in, and you'll notice it's way too big again because it is a 4K video. So I'll select it, go to my scale, put that back to 50%. So now it kind of looks like they're in an arcade, but you see some haze around the edges. If I go back and click my green screen footage clip, I can go to the settings that are available in Ultra Key, matte generation, matte cleanup, spill suppression, and color correction, and fix some of those parameters so that I can get that haze out of there. So I like to open up matte generation first and mess with the pedestal. If I drag this, you can see right away it cleans up that haze if I drag it to like 39. The other thing is sometimes the green screen will fall onto your subjects and cause some green in them, in their hair, their clothes. So spill suppression is really nice. If I mess around with the spill, you can see that it does a good job of getting some of that green out of this girl's hair here. All right, so now we can see that if we play our clip.
I can't believe you beat me at Donkey Kong.
You can't even be mad about that. You weren't trying.
I didn't even know what was going on. Why was the monkey throwing barrels out?
So
That's pretty good, right? It does a pretty good job. You can see through her shirt here, I'm noticing. So I want to mess with some other parameters. Maybe I'll mess with the shadow parameters. There we go. That brings her shirt back. But then we see some other elements here. So maybe the highlights. No, that doesn't work. On the matte cleanup, sometimes if you click on contrast, that can bring some back. But you can just mess around with some of these various settings until you get the green screen look that you want. All right, I think I'm gonna, there we go. And hair is really tricky, especially floofy hair like this. All right, so now we have some pretty good, a pretty good look here. Let's play it back again.
I can't believe you beat me at Donkey Kong.
you can't even be mad about that. You weren't trying.
I didn't even know what was going on. Why was the monkey throwing barrels out?
That's great. And if any of your subjects are wearing green, you're going to be in trouble because it's going to see right through that as well. So the last thing we want to try to do is to make these two things match. As you can see, this background looks like it's a little warmer, and they look very cool. I mean, because they're from the 80s, but also because of the lighting. So what I want to do is I want to add another effect. Let me twirl up the Alt key so it's cleaned up. I want to add another effect from my effects panel called color. And this one here, Lumetri color, is a really nice one. I'm going to drag it up here. And this is going to let me change some things about it. So let me open up basic correction. And the white balance selector is one of the easiest ways. If there's something gray or white in your footage, this can help fix it. So I'm going to eyedropper the white in her shirt. And you see how it warmed them right up, okay? There's a before and after, before, after. And now they match a little bit better. And you can mess with a lot of these different parameters to really get your subjects to match what's going on in the background. I'm also going to add a little contrast, and I'm going to boost the blacks by dragging it down. So the blacks are blacker. So now we have successfully achieved creating a green screen from this footage. Now, I want to show you a couple of more advanced techniques. So if you hang on, you'll learn more, but that's the basics. Now for the advanced techniques. One of the reasons I love to use green screen footage that's shot in 4K and a 1080p timeline is because I can zoom in on a character's face. Let's listen back to our clip again.
I can't believe you beat me at Donkey Kong.
You can't even be mad about that. You weren't.
So when she says you can't even be mad about that, let me zoom in by clicking this little handle and dragging so I can see what I'm doing. Right here, she says,
You can't
even be
that.
mad
You weren't
about that. Okay, when she says you can't even be mad about that, I want to zoom in on her. So I can get the razor tool and I can cut this clip. I also want to cut my arcade clip, which I'll show you why in a minute. And I go
can't even be mad about that. You
right about there. She says, can't even be mad about that. That's where she finishes. I cut both clips. Now what I have is I can affect this clip completely separately because it is separate from the other two clips. And what I want to do is I want to take my scale and zoom it in, and I take my position and move her down so we kind of focus on her now that we zoomed in. So watch what happens.
You can't even be mad about that. You weren't trying.
Okay, now I'm feeling like I want to make sure I go all the way to you weren't trying. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this clip and trim it all the way to here and bring this clip and expand it out to there. All that footage is still there. Watch this.
You can't even be mad about that. You weren't trying.
I didn't even know it was.
Okay, but you can see the problem, and that is the footage in the background doesn't zoom in. It looks like they just got on an escalator and zoom forward. So let me also fix the arcade clip down here. We also need to zoom the arcade clip or our background in. Now let's see, we need to figure out some reference points. So her head fits in between the A in Galaxy and the picture on Donkey Kong, and it's just above the top of those two machines. So let's click on this. We're going to zoom it in, and we can see there's Galaga, and her head needs to go up. Let's see if that looks real.
You can't even be mad about that.
It's pretty good. I think it maybe, there we go. All right.
You can't even be mad.
See, that's better. And so it's important when you're using this advanced technique of cutting in on your subjects to emphasize certain things, that you also change your background to match. Okay, so I can do that throughout this clip to accentuate different parts, different people by zooming in and out. The other advanced technique is adding titles. And one of the nice things that Premiere does now is it has captions and graphics. So I can click this and I can see they've got all these templates here, okay? And if you should hover one of them, it's going to sort of show you how it's animated, okay? So maybe I'll just use this title sequence here. So at the beginning, I'll drag the title sequence onto the V3 track because that's the third video track, and we'll just play that,
I can't believe you beat me at Donkey Kong.
okay? And I can change this. There are lots of ways to change it, but if I select it, it shows me all the layers here. So instead of your title here, it gets selected. I can double click that and type in Donkey Kong. at the arcade. You know, whatever I want that title to be. Okay. And maybe I want it to be larger. No problem. I can also go to my effect controls on that clip and change the scale. Hold on a second. Since it zooms in, I can't really change the scale that way, but I can change the size of the text here if I have a layer selected. There's that. And then at the arcade, make that larger. Now, for this particular one, it's not really working because it doesn't drop down as much. I could probably change this parameter, though. It's not letting me. Here we go. So messing around with some of the parameters can help you get what you want. Let's see if this looks any good at all.
I can't believe you beat me at Donkey Kong.
Right? So then I can trim this up and make it in right around here. Right?
I can't believe you beat me at Donkey Kong.
You can't even be mad.
So there. So now I've been able to add some titles pretty simply that look pretty good. I can change the color and transparency and everything. You can also use Adobe After Effects for this if you know how to use Adobe After Effects. So the last thing that you're going to want to do is export this. Let me go back to my editing menu and just cut the end of this off. Let's say this is the clip that I want to use for my whole video project, and certainly not anything that's complete, but it's a good demonstration. What you want to do is you want to make sure you click in your sequence area. It's highlighted in blue, and go to File, Export, Media. When you do that, you're going to get some choices. You want to choose H264, which is an MP4, and then make sure on the output name is what you want. And if I click it, it's going to tell me where it's going. It's going directly to my desktop, but I'd rather it go into my green screen folder. So I'll click Save and then Export, and then I'll be completely finished. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and it was helpful for you getting started with using green screen in Adobe Premiere.